Right, number one, with individuals with these genotypes, what is the probability that a child will have the genotype? Oops. Capital A, capital B, lowercase d, lowercase d. All right. So let's set up our three Punnett squares. Okay. All right. And we just do our crosses. All right. And now let's look at the probability for this. This is going to be 1 over 2 times 1 over 2. So this and this times 1 over 4. Should be 1 out of 16. What's the probability that the first three children will be homozygous for the A allele? All right. Let's just worry about this one. So the probability of 1 being homozygous for the A allele is just 1 over 2. Probability of the first and the second and the third, oops, is equal to 1 over 8. What is the probability that at least one of the first three children will not be homozygous for the A allele? Okay, that's another way of saying what's the probability that this is not true. Okay, so the probability of the first three children being homozygous for the A allele is 1 over 8. The probability that at least one is not that is 1 minus 1 over 8, 7 over 8. All right. For dogs, black fur is dominant to brown fur. How can you determine the genotype of a dog with black fur? Well, if we have simple dominance, which is what this is saying, then we could be either this or this. All right, so the way that we could determine what the resulting what the genotype is we can just cross with something that shows the recessive phenotype. This is called a test cross. All right? So if this is the case, then the offspring are going to be 50-50. Black to brown. And if this is the case, then it's going to be 100% black. Right. You cross a heterozygous dog with black fur with one with brown fur. If the dogs have 3 pups, what's likely that at least one of them has brown fur? Heterozygous dog with black fur is going to be this. With brown fur, it's a recessive allele. If the dogs have 3 pups, what's likely that at least one has brown fur? Let's do this first. Let's do our cross. All right. So that at least one of them has brown fur. Okay, well, let's see. Let's make sense of this. So they have 3 pups, likelihood that at least one of them has brown fur. So what's the likelihood that none of them have brown fur? In other words, what's the likelihood that they're all this? So it's going to be 1 over 2 times 1 over 2 times 1 over 2, which is equal to 1 over 8. So the likelihood that this is not true is going to be 1 minus 1 over 8, which is equal to 7 over 8. Okay. You cross a homozygous dog with black fur with a heterozygous dog. What is the likelihood that the first 2 offspring will be homozygous? Okay. This one's a little bit more straightforward. The likelihood of one offspring being heterozygous is 1 over 2. The likelihood they're both heterozygous is 1/4. Or wait, so sorry, I said that backwards, but the same math adds up. The likelihood that the likelihood that one is homozygous is 1/2. Okay, same thing. Okay. Number 3, if you cross a black mouse and a white mouse and find that 312 of the offspring are black, the other 94 are white, what are the likely genotypes of the parents? All right, so I see here a 3-to-1 ratio. All right. And I'm seeing one phenotype here, one phenotype here. I do not see any blend of phenotypes in the resulting offspring generation. So I'm likely seeing just simple dominance at work here. And if I see a 3-to-1 ratio, what likely is going on, or just think our simple Mendel stuff, we probably have something like this, where one trait is completely dominant to the other trait. And we only see that if we're able to see that 3-to-1 ratio and that, remember that F1 cross, where we have our heterozygote crossing with one another, giving us a 3-to-1 ratio. So the likely genotypes of the parents would be something like this. 4, if you cross a white mouse and a black mouse and find that 50% of the offspring are gray, what are the genotypes of the parents? All right, white mouse, black mouse, and then half of them are gray. All right, so that, in other words, half of them are heterozygous. Okay, so maybe you can do it like this. All right, so maybe we got this one from this, which means we'd have to get this one from this. All right. And these would have to have a distinct genotype, right? So it couldn't be lowercase b, because then it'd be 100% gray. So we must have a capital B here. So that would give us our 50% right there. I think this is, of course, a useful way to go about this. Kind of write on your Punnett square what you have and try to fill in what the possible missing pieces are. And 5, you cross a white mouse and a black mouse and find that 100% of the offspring are black with white spots. Okay, well, first of all, black with white spots, it's an intermediate phenotype. Right? This is going to be codominance. What are the genotypes of the parents? Well, 100% are heterozygous. Okay, so 100% are this. Maybe I got a lowercase b here from this parent, which means I must have had a big B there. All right, and if I had a big B there, then that's how I got these. So this one must be a lowercase b. So the parents must have been both homozygous, but for different traits. Now, remember, for things that are codominant, yeah, I should have done that up here too. I should have done that here. Let's go ahead and change that so that we can be more accurate. Remember, if one thing is not completely dominant to the other, this is how we designate it. All right, so it'd be, let's see, we'll say F for fur color. Okay, we can say black and white, like so. So it'd be this. right, so let's go down here and fix this one as well. All right, so if 100% of the offspring are black with white spots, that means 100% are heterozygous, and because one's not completely dominant to the other, we can designate those individuals like this, genotypically, right? And if all of, if all of our Punnett square looks like that, let's see if I can cheat a little bit here. See, I don't like drawing this out as much as y'all probably don't, believe it or not. Right, so let's say, so I've got a black mouse and a white mouse. That means that this particular individual had the same alleles, or they were homozygous, and that's how we would get that. So the best way to depict this would be something like this. What would we call it if the hair color of the offspring was determined by the expression of another allele that could mask the hair color for offspring? Just a reminder, this is epistasis. And we have one gene that basically enables the other one to be expressed or not.